Hey everybody and welcome. I am the Sith Trader. It's May 18th, 2026. Remember, trading features involves risk and is not suitable for everyone. Today's live stream is for educational purposes only and is not trading advice. Last night's Globex session didn't provide any kind of actual trade for, me personally. You definitely look at sessions in 2020 hindsight and at times will try to pick out, right, the woulda, coulda, shouldas. Arguably, that anchored VWAP from the swing high, that traded, met with a new low. That's when I called the session off because, A, that I wasn't going to sit here and wait for the market to rally all the way back up into the VWAP or into that anchored VWAP again for another test. That didn't happen for, 3 or 4 more hours until the middle of the night. Confessions of a Sith Trader here, I was actually personally able, while it was done off stream, trade last night. I actually took 2 really great shorts off the VWAP here. We'll go over kind of what, I think you all know exactly what the first trade setup I did. The difference here that I'm going to highlight is just a matter of locking in gains and profits. Because ultimately this, technical Forcesweep setup didn't work. I didn't take it as is because who can afford to take a 618 right full tick stop unless you're going to be trading micros or geez, even on micros that's a ton. So it's a really big risk, right? And do justifiably the rewards 1-to-1. So over the course of trading 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio with positive expectancy or with the edge, you're going to be profitable. But yeah, I think a question we oftentimes leave ourselves with is, or don't answer or ask ourselves enough, is how do we minimize that risk and not do things like just sit here waiting for the stop and hit it. That's probably my biggest weakness as a trader. I find a system I like and I stick to the system religiously, to a fault even. And that's where the Forcesweep setup in instances like this can make you fall into taking, really large risks that otherwise you could have done better with. Last night I was pretty successful actually trading after the stream. I woke up in the middle of the night, my kids got me up, looked at the charts, saw we had come back into the VWAP. Generally liked the idea and the setup, so I was able to actually scalp out 2 pretty big, decent winners. But the difference of what I did, which I will be doing a lot more on stream, is trailing that stop. Using very simple indicators like aggressive moving averages and what have you. The setup was pretty simple, right? I sold the VWAP. I didn't take as much risk as this initial. I decided to actually wait for the market to come back down, back below the VWAP, then was able to use the VWAP high to basically scalp out the short that looked kind of something like this. It didn't take me out until this candle right here, because I basically started trailing with 3 and 4 bar back highs, and said to myself, okay, if we're going to be taking trades with this much risk, it can go in our favor, and just the reaction off that VWAP can be, at this point, it's almost a 100-point move. And so the context of a very big level, and not needing the entire target to be able to pass accounts, hit your daily fill. Those are things I'm going to, I think, highlight a little bit more, right? Taking a trade plan and a system that provides an edge over the long run, but improving upon that by making it fit your own personal risk profile. So I don't care who you are. If you sit here and tell me, oh no, taking 600 points of risk in the NQ is normal for me, maybe you're a swing trader, right? Like that type of trade is okay to me when you're trading off of a 4-hour chart and you're positioning for, longer term positions. But as a day trader, 600 ticks, right? That's over 200 points of risk. That's ridiculous risk to take as a day trader. And that's not day trading, that's positioning. That's positional trading at this point. So anyway, I was pretty proud of myself. Reminded myself what it felt like to take profits, right? And not sit there waiting for the setup to be right? And I always preach this and forget to follow it myself, which is, right, the importance of taking gains and taking gains and not being greedy. I mean, it's a matter of being right versus wanting to be profitable. Okay, so let's get down to we're going to trade for other micros here on these newly funded accounts, mainly because there's no reason to risk an already pretty profitable day for me. So let's break down the New York open so far. I don't take trades right away, so I'm comfortable talking through the open and letting the opening range set up. And so far, it's just been a sell-off after what was otherwise a pretty bullish pre-market. So that leads me to believe that, okay, we're gonna have big ranges on the day. Market's gonna move around a lot. Let's relax. 15-minute opening range is a little arbitrary right now, but it's certainly setting up. There's a high, an hourly high just above that. So being mindful of that. If we can set up and maybe, the dots have flipped to red here, which favors the shorts. You are, above the session VWAP. You're finding resistance at the daily pivot so far. So, all these things you kind of gotta be mindful of, right? Of the session, both actually the session and the London VWAPs at this point. But, we'll see. See VWAP from yesterday coming in basically is resistance again around that daily pivot. And so all that 29,300 to 29,350 area. A lot of fair value gaps in these 1-minute charts. In love ACT or hate ACT, the fair value gap is probably one of the stronger ideas in his concepts. They call it a fair value gap is just applying the nomenclature of it for today. These are just expanding candles. These are just engulfing candles that have no retracement. They've been around since the dawn of time. But shockingly, there were never really indicators to show you these levels before. Somebody started calling them fair value gaps. But it is one of the things that I do have to credit him with, of getting these to be more of a mainstay in people's trading, which they are genuinely good price levels to be considered of. But you have to, again, in the context of anything, a moving average has a place and a plan. VWAP has a place and a plan. Fair value gaps have a place and a plan. They all tell you something different about the way the market's behaving in real time. About 4 minutes until the 15-minute opening range ends. Low end of that range is finding its way to test back into pre-market consolidation here between 28,160 and 29,260, about a 100-point range we saddled up into the hour leading into the open. Of course, we hit a little bit of a rally there and then now pull back into these levels. Today's session VWAP is down at the 29,169 area. Market does feel a lot like it's pulling back into that level. Support, pivot 1 traded as support for the day down at 28,960. So, we're gonna kind of patient here. As the market seems to just, be kind of in a situation of ring the bell and sell. and just straight down since the open, right back into the VWAP. Price action like this, I do admittedly will say I wait, because it's just reactionary to it. You know, an arbitrary time of the day. Again, now I'm only referencing this first 15-minute range. The rest of the day, price action's pretty good, which is why, hey, I am streaming right now because I think there's going to be actual setups here shortly. Breaking below the VWAP, red dots, opening range. I would love now to see the market consolidate above the VWAP and give me like a micro, a little bit of a, bear flat somewhere right around here. We can easily draw up some trend lines that we are now coming into as well. They're just from the day, basically session low, we've been holding this trend line up. And this whole pattern is looking very corrective. I mean, it could be stair stepping, you know, kind of our higher highs and higher lows, these swings. But if you then take out, right, this low, this trend line, the VWAP, and head down to the daily, that's one period. You freely mentioned negated that, and this then all looks like a larger downtrend. And a series of lower lows and lower highs because we failed to take out that swing high from yesterday's S1 pivot. So larger context for what we're seeing, right? You can swing either way with this. Now we come down to the smaller time frame. We know the bigger levels, like down to that pivot that could break. Consolidating against the VWAP perhaps a little bit here. You got red dots. See what happens. Oh, I'm probably looking at getting short very quickly here. Okay, I did fire off a short, but we're going to be really aggressive with the stop. Pretty break even. And out. Dang, it did just this right target, but I was able to scalp out, I think. Oh, snap. That's pretty cool. I don't know how I managed to pull that off, but, well, let's look at my funded account here. What? Oh, holy smokes. My funded account somehow hit my 20-point target right away. Let's see if we can do it again. I'm actually, full disclosure, going to be taking Canto here and turning off my funded accounts right now because I've already hit my R1 for the day, or my target for the day. But this is great price action to be trading. So I see this as an awesome opportunity to highlight for you guys what else we can do. Basically I have, let's like show you some of the things I set up to help me trade better. Let's go through the tools, right, while we're talking about stuff, because nobody talks about how the way to set up their platforms and stuff. So I love using ATMs. They help me manage stops. They help me trail stops aggressively. The thing that I utilize here, how do I edit this? There it is. Okay, so I have like an 80 tick first target, 80 tick stop that I utilize. Actually, there might be a little setup here to call out for you guys, so let me wait 1 second. It's while we've come back above the VWAP here, we're still red dots. We're still below some major the day session situation. And so what I'm basically now doing is starting to look at this 100 tick chart, or like a faster time frame chart, right? And determining there's a little bit of bottling up here at the highs, where if we start to break down, right, I'm looking for the bear flag, or the reason, the market will want to head lower from these levels. And what are the thresholds that I could get in with a momentum, on breakdown? Because we're trading the NQs. This is a momentum-based product. Oh, wow. And these are 30-point swings really quickly. Forget how fast that day session is sometimes. Okay, let's take a quick look here. I think I just missed a bit of an entry, but let's let it set up. Perfect. All right, I would now be a seller on a stop right here. Put it called 53.50. Probably risk 20 points on it, which is not very much. Safely, you almost want to risk all the way up to there, but if we get below this low, I'm fairly confident we're going to see a little bit of momentum lower. And the main reason there is, of course, because I'm looking at this consolidation on the VWAP itself. Red dots, we're at the low end of the range, and I think we could sweep liquidity below this basically, trend line that has no reason to be holding for the day. Just head down to that S1 pivot. And the S2 pivot becomes into play for, the whole downtrend off this high. Now, we're rallying up pretty hard right now. Obviously, I have a stop down here at, 49,150. There's a reason I didn't sell into this market and put a stop at that, once we found a bid off this level, because once we come back down, okay, now you're coming down with momentum, and that's when the push could be through. There's an old, gosh, how do I draw easily for you guys? I need to find a way to do annotations, because there's a saying like, okay, you don't want to be the guy that's selling. And let's just look at if she's a buyer buying it, for example. You want to be that buying here, here, and here, right? You don't want to be buying on the way down. You want to be the guy buying here, here, or even here, if that makes sense, right? They flip it upside down. You don't want to be the person selling, right? Here, you want to wait for this to come over and be the person selling here on the way back down. Kind of a terrible explanation, but I'll figure out another way to say it. I'm canceling my stop down there because now we've traded back into, we were red dots there for a minute. Now we've started to get into mixed dots. So this is where I start to say, okay, let's sit on our hand a little bit. What has happened this morning? We have a 15-minute opening range. Top of that range is a little arbitrary. We know we have an hourly high just above that, up here at 29,400. We basically traded back into the middle of the New York session range. This is the VWAP. This is the 50% area. Certainly this is a sell for some people. We went mixed dots, so I would sit this one out. Plus, we've got some full value gap longs, which means there's definitely a strong buyer up into this area. If you look at volume profiles and everything else, you're going to see good participation, right? Don't be the guy selling here, be the guy selling back on the way back down. Look for the failure of this fair value gap. Look for a nice reversal signal. This hammer candle is now turning into a bear trap as the bulls are pushing back up and probably are going to take out this high because they've just trapped a bunch of sellers there. So the next move I'm looking for is, okay, will dots flip back red because they give me at least a short-term indication of trend. And being mixed right now and back in the middle of the range are two different contextually important pieces of the puzzle. The understanding that the market hasn't picked a direction just yet. There's certainly been participation in both sides, but holding the VWAP as support so far, and as resistance, the New York VWAP and the session VWAP, right? We're between those two levels. There's going to be a fight over the trend, and we're going to see very shortly which way wins. Now, I will admit, I am very tempted to go short here, right around this 28,215 area. or swing back down to the VWAP, but we're kind of in my no man land trading territory, and while dots are mixed, I'm sitting in my hands. The red line here is the New York session VWAP. The blue line here, you can take a look at some of my things. The blue, I need to have like a thing telling everybody what everything is, don't I? Yeah, I need to have a key. All right, 2 dots are not green, not to say that the trend is flipped to bullish. It's just we're back in the middle of ranges and mixed, right? Like,
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are.
Patience here is rewarding. And the only reason I say that is, right, the first reaction, if you just look at the opening, they open in a box, right? You got the downward, the session VWAP, did a little bit of a range break there at lows, but contextually, if you didn't take a step back and realize that was a day session VWAP basically holding a support, and maybe arguably a front run of this larger sloping trend line off of lows, right, you're missing the bigger picture. Then, the market rallies back up. It does give a nice reaction off that level. There's no reason you couldn't have scalped out like 30 or 40 points off of that VWAP. But boy, it just ran stops through. And now, as, tried to convince everybody it was a buy or long above it, and then we come slamming back down into that session VWAP. And actually, I'm sure if you put an anchored VWAP from the low now, you're to see, yep, there it is. We've come up right into that level. VWAPs play a major portion of my trade plan and methodologies. Everything I talk about ends around both a culmination of price and participation together. Most early traders or early in your career, you fall victim to the price game, where you think only price matters. Everybody at some point in the career says that. But while that's true, you're only looking at half of the technical picture. The other half is what's going on internally within the market, the participation and volume, the order book, how that order book is changing in real time. These are all things that you can get tools like Bookmap and other things for, which aren't necessarily needed. Sometimes all you need is a simple volume profile and watching things like, volume develop in individual 1-minute candles. Let's take a look at some of that right now together while we're waiting for this market to kind of chop in a range and honestly set up for something better. These volume footprints are a little crazy to look at times. We're going to go down and dial into the settings for them. They're doing a tick row size. Okay, it's doing ATR row sizes, which is okay because it's just, if I go manual and you go ticks per row and you just go down to like 4 ticks per row, which is now every point. These things change a little bit, but they still give me the same information I want to see. It's just I can't get the numbers on them. Love it or hate it, right? Now, I'm trying to come up with a good way to show you guys this. That we can actually read on the chart. That's not like obnoxious, but ideally this is how I'd want them to be with the like telling me the CBD and the numbers below. The problem is I gotta flip to ATR based, which then jumbles up or combines the number of ticks per like volume level it gives, which okay, it gives you a good rough guess, but you can clearly see the point of control during this 3-minute period was up around, the white ones at the point of control is somewhere around that 29,450 area, but like it's also like a 30-point wide area, range. So platform markets are moving around this big, but the point, the general idea will stand. You had a good break on volume down into the lows. The issue here was that the point of control was setting up and falling. Then the market started to reverse back above the VWAP and you got acceptance above. And this is like a cup and handle structure. If you look at the volume and how it all played out, this is exactly how they usually look. And these volumes, because this is breaking it up by average true length, it's making the volumes become a little bit more standardized. So it's making it tougher to see. Like, I guess this is a good example. That's the best one we're going to get right now. But this push lower right here, right? Solid volume, big increase in your delta, and then the follow through that you saw into the next candle gets you below the VWAP. We should probably start paying attention now, and we're going to turn off the volume profiles because we have now already traced the entire opening range back down to lows. Dots aren't completely red yet. We're very likely going to be flipping red here. We're going to start to look at that micro time frame, right, to see if we can't get some a reason to, in a place to enter a trade, because at this point I'm starting to break down below the levels that I'm going to be short from now, right? Below the VWAP for the day, below that 15-minute opening range. We still have that trend line support that could come in and support things. I am going to anchor VWAP off the high of the day here, or that high, this last swing high. We make it purple. It's a little bit more distinguished.
Yeah.
Be patient here and let this set up.
Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Gotta stay away from all your games, yeah. I know that I found somebody else to love me one day. You'll realize the grass ain't greener
We got a little bit of consolidation below there. You up. This is exactly what I want to see contextually. We do want all dots to be red here, but sometimes we don't get everything we want. Don't get me wrong. This market gets short squeezed straight up, which is exactly why we're not, marketing in here. And we're going to be looking for conceptually where a place breakdown in this little sideways consolidation occurs. Oh, that'll give you my chart up there. There you go. Because we are, I like to watch a tick chart alongside 1 minute charts. Because time-based charts are a little arbitrary. Tick charts give you a little bit cleaner price action. When a trend line breaks on a tick chart, it's a much stronger signal than it is on a minute chart. One green dot, man, it just, conceptually I get why, it's giving you that warning that, hey, the buyers are gone, right? Or there's a reason that dot is green, right? And hey, look at it, we're trying to get back below the VWAP, but I promise you that dot has nothing to do with the VWAP. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go short here. Shoot, that was a terrible fill. That was a terrible fill. Wow, that was an instant stop out. I got some makeup to do. Face ripped off on that attempt to get short there. So that was just poor, terrible execution on my part, honestly. That should have been a stop entry order. Right here, I wanted to be short for 41s. I think it failed to 31s. So conceptually, that was just terrible execution. And look, right, the market's all the way back up, but that's why I trade with a stop. Yeah, and you know what? Warning shot across the bow, right? Dots are still green. Let it be the lesson learned, right? So post-mortem on that setup is just bad execution. I did mark it in when I said I was going to. I need to put a stop in. Initially I was trying to put the stop in basically right here at 41 or wanted to. Ended up marketing in terrible fill that within a few seconds really just came back up and hit me. I don't even think if I had gone filled on my stop, even at the price I wanted to, I would have been able to trail my stop quickly enough, but ideally that was the idea. That's okay. Make up for that one here in a minute. All the way back up to the middle of that opening range. That's a pretty wild move back up. So definitely below that VWAP again. There could be more instances and opportunity for selling, but now while we're wrapped up in the range, let's let this stuff set up for a little bit here. The only thing I'm happy about with that trade is there's no way anyone else. Let's say it goes up, let's settle quick. Oh man. Markets never cease to amaze me though, how fast it can be. So, for all intents and purposes, you could almost ignore the original 15-minute opening range and start considering this 28,300 down to 28,100 areas, kind of the range that we're in. Bots are mixed, chopping up in the middle of this stuff. Anchored VWAPs on either side of the sway highs aren't holding. The A-session VWAP has been kind of supported. The IC-session VWAP has been kind of resistance. It's now at a point where I'm not really interested in a trade until you're above 28,360 or below 28,130. Reason being is because below this low, you have a long ways down to the S1 pivot for the day, down at 28,970. And then above, highs in the morning in this high from the 6 o'clock, the 7 o'clock hour, New York hour, 8 o'clock Central. You've got almost 200 points up to the 28,600 R1 resistance. So there's a lot of room for this market to move. Since the New York Open, it has been a proverbial chop fest. Range traders, I hope you've been absolutely crushing it, but I had one terribly executed slipped trade that caused me to stop this morning. Could have probably been a scalp if I had superhuman abilities to move it as fast as I could, but it's that's the trade on stream, the second trade on stream, I should say. First one was always the winner. Which I still can. Which actually, arguably the first one was pretty much the same setup, wasn't it? Like, it was a selling of VWAP break, trying to scalp, trail stop aggressively, right? This one actually hit my target down at 3, down at the lows. Depending on where of my orders that got filled, but the second attempt at that trade was poorly executed and got filled basically at the low where I'd much rather have been trailing my stop and trying to take profits. I'm draped even on the day session so far. Well, from scratch, I should say. That out of 10 times, I would have taken both those trades. Just gotta be better with execution, which is always gonna be a struggle when you're a point-and-click trader. This 15-minute candle is looking really good for a reversal, and you definitely have a bit of a downward sloping trend line here since the start of the day session. And I know I said I wasn't interested until I was about 28,350, but before that, we were talking about how you could consider this to be the opening range, right? Actually, after the first 15 minutes, like this little range that we set up and is now contextually important to me. Dots have flipped from, red to now mixed. They're not green yet. Conceptually, I like a breakout above this high at this point. I don't have all my signals like dots and what have you, but if we bottle up, you do one more top there. Now I feel more comfortable by stopping into that type of high. And you'll see how aggressive I become with trailing a stop on this. I'm only looking for like a scalp of 20 points. I might open that hard target up, but again, trailing a stop super aggressively. Like to the point where when it's $100 or $200 in profit on one NQ, I am putting it at break even, right? These are fast markets. Right, starting to get a bit of a micro bull flag here. I was tempting to pull that down and get filled on the break of the trend line, but I'm playing it safe here and keeping it stop against that high where I originally wanted it. Yeah, and see, it would have been a head fake if I didn't have my stop exactly where it is. Well, so far. And so this just makes me feel you're more comfortable with where my stop is. The fact they got a reaction off that level again. Because if it goes down from there, I don't want it. All right, let's see. Move my target up a little bit. It's because it give it room to run if it's going to go. All right, stop is coming up to 62 quarter. Stop's coming up to break even. 69 3/4. Oh, it's going to come get me. No, then. But just in front of the break even there, actually 69 3/4. All right, stop is going to come up now to 80, 75, 80, 50 now. Yeah, stop's 85. Stop's going to be up to 89 here in a moment. Nope. It's 85 still. And all I'm doing is watching a 100-tick chart for where the lows are. They're like 3 and 4 bars back. They're 1 to 3 bars back. Stop's going to come up here, 89 now. Yep. Yeah, so my stop's at not an 89 where I have it there. Yeah, I had an 89.50. Oh. That's all right. All right, there you go. 69 to 89. All right, that made up for this dookie. All right, now let's see what happens. And trend line is now broken. We're coming back to kind of another test of it here. Stops are still mixed, but we are trying to break above this short-term consolidation. I got long here basically on acceptance above the New York session VWAP and a breakout of this larger trend line high. I'm not in love with the trade, right? That was extreme. As you can see how aggressive I was with trailing the stop to just give nothing back on the trade. I'm finding using a 100-tick chart and using like literally just follow 2 or 3 bars back lows. When it finally breaks, you're going to be very happy. I just took 90% of that move out of the market at just that one little leg in all of from 9:15 and 17 seconds to 9:16 21 seconds, just over a minute in a trade. Okay, so conceptually we're maybe a new little trend line here for me against the high, or that short-term high. Not saying I'm going to come in and take that trade or anything, but it does give you cause for concern. Why? Pulling back into that New York session VWAP again. Looks like they're coming in as support here. It's also that old broken trend line we actually use as our entry, now as support, so that's a conceptually good level, and no, they give it up. And you can see this is exactly, this leg lower is exactly why I have changed to being hyper aggressive with trailing stops. This is a fast market. If anything, this is now a failed auction higher. You had some order block consolidation, right? Talk about ICT talk. That's all it is a bull flag that broke out, failed to sustain highs above trendline resistance, and failed to take out the swing high. Set a new hourly high. We have an hourly high of well above us the prior hour, so you're making lower lows on the hourly now. Lower highs. Lower lows on the hourly would mean we take out this slowdown here as well. So, I mean, we flip and we get that down below the day session VWAP at 28,180. I'm a seller, on momentum lower, particularly if dots flip red, all the things, right? But conceptually right now, nice little quick trade. But I could get a lot more. We could have squeezed to, another 40, 50 points higher to take out the, day session highs of the New York opening range high. That was ideally what I thought was going to happen, right? But I would trail stop. Good morning, Bifa. Yeah, so I try not to have a bias any day, like, but I'd be lying if I didn't say, oh, take a big step out to that daily chart, the 4-hour chart, and, you know, it's hard not to have a bit of a bias in this uptrend, right? You know, you're pushing all-time highs, it seems like every other day, which I do think you have to still keep in the back of your mind. Contextually, you need to know where you are in the bigger trends. But I don't work my way down from a daily chart to 4-hour to an hourly to 50-minute to 5-minute to a minute. So I develop a bias that I want to trade the rest of the day. Not at all. I'm certainly aware of the bigger levels, but I have truly tried to remove my opinion of what I think is going to happen outside of the next 20 to 50 points in a market. Because, you know, let's look at today's price ranges for a great example of this and why. And I have no problem talking about this stuff right now and answering questions because we're in the middle of this choppy range right now. I'm a little biased in the very short term that it's trying to break out of this trend line against the highs, just because that's what the market is currently doing, right? We are currently rounding up off the day session VWAP. We are holding above the NYSE session VWAP, which is this red line. It's been putting pressure on this downward sloping trend line against the highs that we've been holding since just about pre-market. Conceptually, if we can get a runner, you know, the market could rally, you know, up to 29,450, up to 29,350. Even, you know, that's up to, you know, any level above on just a short breakout from here, and I can capture that and be happy with my day. And then the market could turn over and fall 1,000 points. Makes no difference to me. Because all I care about is what is the next 20 to 50 points that I can capture and produce positive P&L for the day. I'm not here to be right. I'm here to make money. And there's a distinct difference of trading with a bias to be right and trading without a bias to just make money. I've shifted my own trading plan a lot recently. Not a lot, but, you know, today is a good example. I'm being hyper vigilant with stocks. The 3 trades I've taken today, none of them have gone follow through. In fact, they have all been probably doing the thing that you should not be doing at that time because we just haven't had the follow through. If any one of these trades was, you know, right, they're really, really right. You know, my point is that you could be a seller in an uptrend and still make money if you do it at the right time. So my first trade this morning on stream, we sold a breakdown for 29,150.5. There was a, that was over here, that initial breakdown back below the VWAP. After the 15-minute opening range around 8:47 this morning, we didn't get follow through. The market ended up rounding all the way back up and heading back to the middle of the day session range. But I was able to trail a stop. I was lucky. My funded accounts actually hit their target down here at the low. I got filled at 29,155 on those funded accounts. And I got a gift that literally bottom ticked the market pretty much on getting filled on that 20 points. So my sim account that I view as a leader, I trailed a stop though. So technically speaking, for me, this is a plus $200 trade, not a plus 400. So be it. Even though, right, I made that money in the funded, like, let's be honest with my followers and what, you know, we're doing, right? I trailed a stop here on my sim account. That is the main leader account. And that's where the sim account got stopped out, even though I was already out of the position with funded accounts, just because it hit its first target. And the reason it did is because I used this 80 for 80 break even strategy. Where I hit the edit button, right? That after you hit 72 ticks, it'll put the stop to break even automatically for me. But it also puts out a profit and stop loss at plus and minus 80 ticks for me right away. On all my accounts that I use, Replicante like full bots to do that in Ninja. Anyway, long story short, right? We were short. I got short for momentum break lower and below the VWAP of the day. Dots were red. Everything looked like it should go lower. But all intents and purposes, it looked like a great sell. Still trailed my stop aggressively, got taken out. And the market just like screamed back higher, right, for the next hour or so. Then hit the day session VWAP, it sold off. And as it came back down, I saw a very similar setup to what I saw before. as we started to break back below that VWAP for the day. Dots hadn't flipped totally red yet, so that was probably the reason I shouldn't have taken this trade altogether. But I ended up having terrible execution. I was wanting to put a stop in, like right here at 41. I ended up marketing in basically at the low, and I mean, it was literally, I think 3 seconds later, I was 6 or 7 seconds later, I was stopped out for a full 20 tick loss, or 20 point loss, 80 tick loss. So technically speaking, I'm down 200 on the day. In the sim account, I'm at this point I had actually shut down my funded accounts. Was for profit, so cool. But okay, on stream I'm up 200. I'm down $200 now. I've been absolutely probably the most embarrassing trade I've ever taken in my life. Literally sold the low, got taken out, but my stop was I'm totally accepting of a stop, right? That's why I use them. That's why we did them. The market saw no follow through down here and just shot all pretty back up, screwing all the way back on. I mean, it was like, Sid, what are you doing, bro? No less 10 times out of 10, I would have taken that trade. I would have executed it, not like a donkey. So that was a terrible execution that cost me. That set me back on the stream for the day. One week for me, we came up and we set up it. Didn't have totally green dots, and that was the only thing I did not like about this trade. But I was prepared and was bought a breakout of this high here at 28,270. And we set a target of plus 20 points. I moved that target a little higher and intentionally trailed the stop aggressively, right, with the basically just using these 100 tick. I got to pay attention. We're coming down to the VWAP again. Using the 100 tick chart, 2 or 3 candles back was to trail. Got to stop out basically for plus 20 points. That sets me ahead, on the day by about $200. Trading the one NQ. So yeah, sitting up 200 now right now on that sim account for the day. Again, my funded accounts are shut down because I hit my targets. Yeah, we're into still keep trading. This is great price action to practice, to learn, to showcase what I do, how I do it in fast markets. We're going to continue for a little bit here, probably for another half hour. See if, honestly, what I'm waiting for is like the break of this range and show you guys how to hopefully get into a bit of a runner. Because my bias right now is not for direction. It's for the fact that we have bottled up for the first hour and a half of trade right now in a range that we're going to go one way or the other here. And there's going to be a great trade to be able to just kind of hop in on trail stop with. I'm very confident in that idea. So that's how I think about the markets, how I see them. And the reason I'm comfortable taking these trades is because I know that price action can expand this range it's in by several hundred points in either direction. And why care which way it goes? Just be ready to hop in and ride that train and get off at the stop that you want to, right? Like, trading's a lot like coming to a train station without any kind of schedule. You don't care which direction you go on the track. You just want to leave. Okay. It's the zombie apocalypse, right? This is just as you as a trader. It's the zombie apocalypse. You're being chased by zombies. You get to a train station. You know the trains are still running because they're on an automated schedule or something, right? You have no idea which way the train is going. You don't care. You just want to get on a train and get as far away from the place you currently are because the zombies are coming to kill you. When that train shows up at the station, you don't care. You just got to get on the train and then get off at the next station where there's no zombies. That's trading. Alright, we are now breaking below the day session VWAP. We have broken and basically held this downward sloping trend line off the highs since then. We have an upward sloping trend line for the day against the lows, which, again, it's kind of one of those levels that if we start to break and break down, I'm going to be looking for, market structure to get short. I really was hoping that by the time I get down here, the dots would be flipping red, which it does look like. You can see this London session dot wanting to maybe flip red. New York session dots are not flipping red just yet, but we'll see if they do for us, which, again, if green lights stay short for me, kind of a terrible way of saying that, but We've already seen 3 instances of attempts to break back below the day session VWAP and be accepted below. We're seeing that happen again. But it hasn't happened yet, right? I'm very, very close to wanting to get short with some momentum down here. I don't have the very short-term market structure just yet. I'd like to see a little bit more of a flag pull up than just kind of one leg up and one leg lower. Now we're getting that bit of a flag on this 100-tick chart. So conceptually, shoot, I missed the trade. Darn it. I'm trying to get in there, and I don't want to mark it in. If it comes back up here, I am going to probably get short. That was another terrible fill, but can live with it. Nope. Come on. Should have been a little more patient on that. They're going to come get me. That's too bad. That is too bad. That is like conceptually terrible execution again. I missed the trade I wanted, which was to sell right here. Either way, I'm probably being taken out break even. Man, this is, I don't want to say I felt like I forced that, but patience here, we're going to get this. Honestly, the stops at 20 points are probably a little too tight. They've gotten absolutely ticked there. Sitting down 200 right now, that stinks. Bad execution. I'm a little sloppy here, folks, in this near session. We come up with a trend line again. I want to be a seller down here now on the stop. Let me fix this for you guys there. Alright, so $57's puts you above this high in terms of a 30-point downside risk. That stop's going to go to break even here soon. Stops to break even. And come on, target's filled. Back to up 200 on the day. This one's for, I'm going to go a lot lower, and I'm going to miss out on a nice swing lower. Here, yep, there it goes. I hope some of you did actually get short here, did not take that first stop, and are still short. Because this is probably going to run a little bit lower as the dots start to flip red. And then there will be another setup after this that I'll probably look to take, and I'd probably call it after that. I'd like to try to get one more winner under the belt, so really make it a solid day for anyone watching the stream. Conceptually, you can see what I'm attempting to do here. I'm using very, very short time frame charts to get market context or a market structure to sell with momentum at conceptually larger places where momentum should take over. The short here that I was looking for, in essence, on the 1-minute chart was a breakback below the VWAP, and this basically day session low so far at this 29,137 level. The first shot I took was another embarrassing, terrible execution stop. Second opportunity there provided, and you should have been able to take a lot more than the 20 points that I just took out of this market out of it. Now, I'm not hurry up to rush in to be short. The short happened. We've now flushed the bigger level that we were wanting to get the break below. You flush below that trend line. I mean, now you're going to expect the dots to flip red. You're going to expect the New York session VWAP to be resistance, the day session VWAP to be resistance, and honestly, even an anchored VWAP from this last swing high to be resistance. And when it finally comes down, to meet us, we're now starting to set 1-minute fair value gaps above. We dots just flipped red, so here we go. I'm totally expecting now that the dots are now red for the market to correct a little bit. Not to say that that's like a signal you look for to fade. Never fade the dots, please. They're a great short-term indicator that does keep things, try to keep you on the right side of the market. So I can't tell you how many people try to do that. And it's like, that's not the way to use them. Even though you do see times where, hey, you're all red dots. And eventually, right, they are not red dots anymore, right? All right, here's that instance. The first fair value gap off that is a 45 short. Wow. Didn't quite fill, but that would have been kind of a setup here. Let's just go over what the idea is. All red dots, the first fair value gap that trades after all red dots is sometimes a great little setup. Obviously it proved that way today. Darn, hey, no way, it didn't give me a fill, even if I could have got my order there. But you can at least see conceptually how that played out, right? That is a technical setup I look for. Unfortunately today it didn't provide. I mean, wouldn't have provided the entry, but conceptually you can see it there. So you're selling off dots flip red. The first all red dots after, or the first fair value gap to trade with all red dots becomes a short. And it's just the low of that foot fair value gap. Risk, half of it for a swing to new lows. Okay, we have now sold off back down into the S1 pivot for the day, so be careful. We've got support probably coming in. Yep, bounced it a little bit here. This is not a bad thing conceptually for the way I trade, because it gives me now another market, more context for a level that could break and, with momentum. So let the market bounce here, let it set up, let it chop up, let the dots sit in red, let those moving averages, the VWAP come down to meet it, because there's going to be some kind of correction that then we can utilize to and exploit for more momentum lower. This market could rally, and very likely might rally 120 points higher too. That's this old broken trend line now as resistance. That's this downward sloping trend line that's held all morning as resistance. And that would happen somewhere, around the 28,120 point if it takes, the next hour to correct higher. So be patient here. You can definitely see how now there's a little bit of a bull flag happening. We do conceptually have a little bit of a flag. It's kind of straight up off the pivot though. If we get a little bit more of a bull flag to form against the pivot, I would use that as a area to sell stop in, below those lows, but I don't have the market structure to set that trade up yet. And we're bouncing from the pivot that supported the S1. All the way back up we can go to find where resistance is going to be. Dots remain red. A little bit of a bias to the downside, but you can't just flat out make a short here. And I would now be sitting out this fair value gap, even though it's probably going to trade and work out because we bounced from the pivot as well. I don't highlight as much how I look at volume and participation on stream because it's like so much to cover, but I promise you I will be doing more in order flow. And what we look at, I look at that a lot more during the Forcesweep at night because it's easier to discern. In real time, we have time to do it. During the day session, it's so fast. I almost can't show you half the things I'm looking at in real time, but we'll get there. As I get more comfortable streaming, as I find ways to share these things with you, we'll figure that out together. You probably have questions here that no questions today. By all means, this is a time to ask anything you have.
Discontent, I'm finally facing it all.
Man, this is so funny. I am just cracking up on X right now. I posted this thing about baseball and like the say how nets like are not like an unreasonable thing because hey, baseball's come off of a bat at 100 miles an hour. Brad, human reaction time is not fast enough to react to that in many cases, especially fans that have been drinking, might have children at the game, vendors who are paying attention and selling peanuts and beer in the aisles. It's insane to think that everybody can pay attention to a baseball game all the time. And baseball fans are like irate with me that I suggest nets are a common sense, no drawback. Like there's literally no negative things about having a net. You can see through it fine. If you can't catch pop flies, I'm sorry. The 1 or 2 people a game that get to leave with baseballs, God forbid. You realize like they can easily toss that ball back into the fans, right? Like if it doesn't fit that to be gone off play. Anyway, it's if people are so irate that no, you should be paying attention to the game. This is on the people paying attention because some lady got hit in the head at a Mariners game. And had to go to the hospital. And it wasn't even a line drive ball, it was a fly ball that they ricocheted off a wall. But people in the comments are like, oh, she shouldn't be off her phone and paying attention. It's like, no, there's a reasonable expectation that people get distracted while watching sporting events. And when there are balls that fly 100 miles an hour at fans, it's a reasonable request to have a net to protect them. And it's just hysterical how many baseball fans have been rage baited into this conversation and are absolutely furious that anyone suggests you can't react in time. It's so funny. It is just hilarious. It's been some of the best engagement I've gotten all week, which is just, man, X algorithms are failing. Alright, so we bounce off that S1 pivot. We're coming back up very likely into a retest of like the trend lines that were supportive throughout the day. All of our VWAPs and other moving averages have started to come down to meet price, right? You see a fair value gap along, or green fairly gap, form. All indications out of a bit of a short covering squeeze is happening, right? You've got the anchored VWAP off of the swing high here is coming in at 29,120. That's right along this downward sloping trend line. I'm not one who picks all those and sells with limit orders. I like to go with momentum, as you guys have seen. I wait for the market to commit to a direction and like to be a part of it, at least during the day session. I say that in the Forcesweep, but ideology and mentality is completely different. But when you're trading fast markets that move, several hundred points at a time right now, you can't do the same things. I kind of think if I had to bet right now, I think we're gonna hold resistance like right here, right now, and head back down to lows. And yeah, I'm saying that in front of a 2-minute candle, 2 minutes where this 15-minute candle closes, and it's a nasty looking candle for the bears. But you're coming into old support, now resistance, and it seems logical to find resistance around this area. Docs at red, so if I get structurally a reason I think the market could break down on the 100 tick chart, I will look to try to sell that with momentum on a momentum lower. There is an upward sloping trend line against the lows that is very clearly holding, and so I am very tempted here now to kind of get short off this level if it gives me a reversal off the high trade. Like I'm not looking to sell into this rally. I'm looking for the rally to prove itself, break a trend line, a little bull flag here, failed auction, right? Break higher, come straight back down. Give me a reason to sell with the momentum lower. This could be it right here. Let's see. Okay. It's through the trend line. If it kind of comes up here a little bit, I'm going to probably get short. Go ahead, solid one, stops against the high there. I'm actually going to move my stop lower, or the target lower, and we're just going to trail stop with this. So I got filled to 190, or 29,120 stops now, going to break even. I could have taken $400 out of the market there. Stops going to come down to 29,092 now. I'm at 91.50, I guess. But put kind of one at 92. It topped out, okay. Knocked it out for plus 10 points there. I probably could have taken a little bit more if I wasn't as aggressive with the stop, but we'll see. Dots are red, so I'm only really looking for shorts here. Anchored VWAP. Coming after resistance. Oh man, I missed out on probably a good trail here. Oh, some of you are still in this short. Ah man, there it goes. Look at that. That's alright, like there's going to be another setup here for us, because now we're coming into that trend line. That swing line here against the low. Alright, cool, it's breaking below it a little bit here. I do think you're going to play with it, and we're going to get another little opportunity to get short. It's breaking below without me. Let's see what happens. Might come all the way back up to 60s here. Alright, I'm going to put a stops in to get short 35, 75 basically below this. 36 low. Feel more comfortable selling it right here up here at 64, but yeah. Again, a reason I don't sell into rallies and look for momentum lower. So we broke this trend line on the 100-tick chart. We're now folding as resistance. We come back down to these lows. You know, now it's feeling like it's the type of low that sweeps down below 2900 here. So let's see if I'm right about that idea. Sitting up 400 on the day, so that's a take profit. On this account after 4 or 5 trades, right? I've had 2 stop outs that I have to make up for, but still had 1 R. It's pretty good. 2 full stop outs, by the way. But we'll need to come back down. See if it flushes. That should miss. My target's going to go down to the lows of the day here. My hard target. I'm going to try to trail the stop here if it can roll over for me. Oh, it's fickles. Oh, I hope that wasn't just a thick entry. Stop's going to come down to 49.75 real soon. No. Yeah. Stops to... Yeah, it stopped to 49.25. Oh, they got me there. No way. They didn't get to me. They're gonna have to get back in here. 53.50s. Come on, flush. Flush, flush, flush. Come on. Alright, stops 37.50. It's going to break even here very soon. Which is at like 30 quarter. Nope. Come on, flush a little bit below 20 one more time. Stops break even. Little ahead of it, in fact. You're going to get me. Nope, not yet. Yeah, there you go. Alright, patience here, patience. One of these will go for me, right? What bursts me is like I should have gotten a lot more of that initial short, right? Can't force this too much. This market's going to probably give me some more context. Otherwise, the early gap still shows up. That indicator is really blocked. right? Well, I'll probably add to the position, but I probably should have waited a little bit hot second there. Man, I am terrible execution. Gotta get this day back. Okay. Alright, so I let my own ego and stuff get in the way there. I wanted to be short for this whole thing and then force a couple trades here down to lows to give back some gains for the day. Ideally, we still have a pretty good. Honestly, now dots are going mixed. That's unfortunate. There was a little bit of force trading there at the lows. I'll openly admit it. This is where ego can take over for you, right? Conceptually, I wanted to be short. The setup, everything I liked about being short from 29,100 occurred. Dots were red, market reverse, like for trend lines, held other resistance levels, macro levels that made sense. Got ticked out. Missed, arguably got ticked out again. So it's like, this is a great example of terrible execution, resulting in destroying a trade plan for, in the short term. Good execution, bad follow through. Bad execution. Can ruin your deck. So we're back on the C test there. Our original trend line basically now has resistance. That's the supportive trend line for the day, right? Also the anchored VWAP that started the breakdown for the New York session. New York session arguably formed lower, right? And now the day session VWAP is all the way up at 29,189. So there could very well be a rally up into that level, which conceptually is a New York session Forcesweep setup. So it's another reason I've been very hyper vigilant on trailing any stunts to the short side. Dots are red here trying to get short. And it's not just, I'm not getting short just because dots are red. I'm getting short because there was legitimate little breakdowns I wanted in the market, and markets were quick and it's hard to execute. But those aren't excuses. That's just what's happening. This anchored VWAP, it's just like, man, it's so reminiscent of the Forcesweep last night for the gold X Open. We didn't need to get back to the full session anchored VWAPs. We just did it from the swing high VWAP, which conceptually we have broken down that another, short-term trend line. A little bit of a head and shoulders pattern. I'm a seller. Below 72.50 now. It's called 72.25. I've got my stop in. Biting the dots a little bit on this one, but the dots, like any indicator, are a tool, not a rule. And there's a reason I'm not marketing into a trade there, right? Let the market prove itself by going down there. It means that it's been able to get back up over 20 points because of how much I always want to kind of risk, but it is what it is. I come back down for another test here. About to be stopped in short, I'm sure. There it goes. Downside target's all the way going to be probably taking out, sweeping these lows. And I am going to be vigilant. I'm not trying to stop, but I want to give it some room. It stops at break even. Stop's going to come down to walk in $500 or something here very soon. But leave that break even stop for a second because I do have some want to make up for the day, and I want to be getting in and out right now and like get kicked out again. Break even's got to be a risk profile. Oh, come on. Wow. lucky me. If they're up there again to get me, I'll be pissed, but it is what it is. On the 1 minute chart, though, you have now a much more definitive bear flag, and kind of break down if this starts to go, but this needs to not take me out. It'll disappoint if it does. You're now close, it's come, right? Another little microstructure might be kind of breaking down now, so love to see it take out the 47s. It takes out 46 quarter or whatever, this low. Probably down to 30s pretty quickly, and I'll be trying that stop down somewhere around this 50 area to try to lock in, basically. Better lock in, getting back to break even on the day. I'm on. And of course, all the way down to like 03s. I got would like myself get taken out down there, but we'll see. I'm on. Bastards got me. That's okay. Should've scalped. What could have, shoulda, right? Scalped out for plus 30, 40 on that. I should have trailed aggressively right here. That's okay. Alright, so we conceptually, I want to be a seller down here again. But I don't want to miss breaking down now yet if it goes. Back. Gonna make it a 2 left.
But if you wanna travel, then go alone. Yeah, what's the point in us if I never know? Yeah, if you're gonna leave, I'ma let you go. I'm tired of
That Horizon 4950 feed. Fighting the dots sort of flipped a little green right now, but okay, there's other things going on. And by the way, if they can, if I don't get in on this trade and we go higher, it's because those dots have flipped, right? But also, we know that, conceptually, we could have a Forcesweep for the London or New York session going on in this market. Might want to head higher towards 83, 29,183. And now that we're pushing up towards the highs, right? You got a question if you want to be a seller at 49.50 again. We'll see. A bit of a trend line to break now. The market's bottling up. We've got a range of about 50 points right now. In my opinion, if we break it either way, it probably should squeeze. In fact, I'm willing to go and say, hey, if we break this high, I want to be long. I mean, you're about to watch it. We probably can't take this on all. I don't know, some prop firms will get upset by this type of trade, but I genuinely believe this range is going to go either way. Like, you can almost not have a bias here. I'm biased to the downside because of the prevailing trend out of the New York Open, yada yada, but I also am willing to admit that I'm gonna watch it here. But I'm debating is putting a buy step up here, getting long. But I wanted to see the push above the, that anchored VWAP, and like, it holds, so it's resistance now until it's not. I do think at this point, if it gets up to up to quarter, I'm going to be wanting to get in. But conceptually, I'm looking at this tightening in the market, going, okay, next level above here is going to take you probably a very quick short squeeze up to the VWAP, up to the nicely session VWAP. Break down, and you're going to be retesting lows of the day. I don't really care which way it goes. All I know is that markets are not going to sit still for very long, and I don't want to get head faked by either one of these moves. After we get stopped in long, I'll cancel the, obviously, orders below, because I got to concentrate on this trade and it's going or not. Uh-oh, is it a head fake? Stop's going to be a break even very soon. Stops are break even. Low threes and target filled. All right, well, after back my entire day, put me up $200 in this account. Wow, look at that. Holy cow, how can you trade that? My God. Like, if I didn't have a strategy, and it's like, I got my trade to break even, but I mean, heck, I want to be a seller down here if it break this low right now. Go in. Alright, so I got some shit execution. I got rewarded by good execution there. Oh no. Oh, don't give back my gains. Yikes. Well, factoring down 200. Holy cow. I guess I should have left my stop at the same place as before. Man. This is almost comical times. You gotta be able to roll the punches in trading. You gotta be able to know what your limitations are and what you do. I do have this ordering to sell stop 50. Let's see. We retarded down a little bit. Stuff's gonna be a break even. Oh, I don't like where it bounced from. No bueno. Wow, I'm getting my face ripped right now.
I think the girls with their nails done.
Okay. I should have quit where I was at there. That's okay. Alright, tops are now red. Very clear trend line against the lows. Alright. Let's focus here, folks. Stops at 38 quarter. Dots are red. It is super important to be vigilant with your entries and stops today. I have had some darn shit execution, and it has cost me today. I've had to fight back too many times, which we're going to do one more time. And I'm totally over-trading because I'm upstream. Yeah, okay, so the concept conceptually, market has been bodily up and chopping sideways. Clear bear flight trend line against the lows. Get a reaction from the anchored VWAP off of the swing high. market is bottomed up, and I'm expecting a period of expansion one way or the other. I favor the downside with red dots. I favor taking out the S1 pivot, and I favor going down to the S2 pivot because you're below the VWAP, the session VWAP. Below, larger market structure is just descending in lower lows and lower highs. And all I'm looking for is a good way to get in and ride that train lower. Been a little too aggressive with some stops and got ticked here. Set me back a few bucks for the day for being up in this account. Full disclosure, I'm not trading my fundeds. This is all just on a sim to highlight what I would be doing right now. I already closed those out for profits earlier today. This is practice. This is proof of concept for myself, right? I got a little bit more of an even smaller trend line forming kind of here, or more aggressive one against this butter tick chart. He could potentially be sold out 48. 48. Would stop up to 49 even. 30 or lower, 47.75. Let's put there. New hour as well. Your 10 o'clock hour just kind of formed. And I'm anticipating this sell-off to take you down towards the 29,970 area. Oh man, did they? Well, today's a high day. There at least isn't. I mean, that's just not the type of reaction I wanted to see off of that order. I mean, I think it's going to work out fine, but that's not a. Should have had my stop below the other low, right? Okay. What did you do in your workout where that target order is? Because I do want it lower than that. I want it below. Lows of the day, basically. Down around 72, let's call it. It's good at 72 quarter, that's fine. Alright, so let's see. I will even add to this position on a break below the current low. And minute bar is about to close in about a minute and a half, or about a minute and 10 seconds. Let's go close a new 5-minute bar as well. Don't have another 5 minutes, so 15-minute bar. Just follow on in this trade. I hope you can get in the first piece, but the second piece is probably better entry at 44 quarter right now. And because it hasn't happened yet, and it's keeping you out of a lot of the slop. Honestly, the stop would probably be down here at 39. Or should have been initially. I was found the trend line, should have found the follow the swing low. These are the nuances of trading that it's impossible to tell at any given point in time what the best case scenario is to be. Why is it a 3-lot stop? This makes no sense. It stops going to come down to break even very soon here, 44.75. Let's go ahead and put it there. I'm going to bring the stop down to 26.5 here in a second. Probably should start taking some profits on some of this stuff. But I mean, this is the burst lower that I was looking for. So here you go. Stop's going to come down. I would have put mine at 20.5 because I'm trying to make up for crap trading earlier today. Stop's going to come down here shortly to 15s if it can break. No, it's going to take me out there 20.5. It did. Well, that at least put me ahead on the day for I had a 1 lot on. That put me up on the day. Not bad, right? In terms of all the net trading, I had to go in with a heavier size on that, but I could have at least made up for the day on just the 2 lot or 1 lot. I also think that this is going to probably continue lower, even after this big, pop right now, because you're just popping back up into old support, now resistance. Okay, I'm glad to at least redeem myself here on stream, because that was just an embarrassing day of terrible execution at times. But look, you stick to your plan, you stick to your guns. Stop flipped red. The market still provided a setup there to make it back. Even though, look, I mean, biases aside, it's all the way back to about entries, which now, okay, maybe it goes the other way. I do have, again, still bias for the downside with that thread here below all these VWAPs, so take care and watch that for the rest of the day. Hopefully you guys were able to sit out some of the terrible execution I had, and a little bit of over trading, trying to I don't want to say force a trade in 2 instances, but I was trading like a donkey at times, though. There was a lot of good and a lot of bad to take away from today. I'll be the first one to admit that. But it's also proof of concept that if you stick to your guns and stick to what you do, you can make back almost any hole you get yourself in. And this market, even as choppy as it was today, can still provide setups because those ranges are so big. With red dots right now, I fully expect the market to continue lower while we're below the VWAP and everything else. But with all that being said, everybody, I'm going to take off for the rest of the day. Go enjoy the next few hours. We'll be back with you for the Globex Open this evening, where we'll take another look at the Forcesweep setup and see if there's an actionable trade that we can take there this evening. With all that being said, everybody, thanks so much for joining me. But remember, trading teaches involves risk and is not suitable for everyone. Everything you saw here today was just my own opinion and not trading advice. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll be back with you all as price action develops. Take care.